You're live.
Barb, you ready?
Yes. Tom?
Yeah.
Sherry? Beth?
Yep.
Barb here, Larry? KK?
Yep.
Jason?
Here.
Linda?
Yes.
Chris?
Here.
Annette?
Yes.
Tundra?
Here.
Sean?
Here.
Koki? Richard? Sorry.
Ernie's here too.
Bernie? I don't
Here.
see him on my list here.
Wasn't here last time.
All right, sorry I'm not up there with you guys. I'm sick, but I don't need anything else to say.
So you're gonna get us sick down here?
Yeah, she should have stayed home.
Sorry, Bernie.
No, just joking.
You're not on the list up here.
If you know last month's minutes, any corrections,
Were you here
deletions?
last month? You were here last time?
I can make a motion, we accept him.
Second.
Oh,
All in favor?
Aye. First of all, I want to welcome Commissioner Kuntz as our rec board liaison.
Thank you. Appreciate it. In fact, through the chair, I'd like to say that there was a question about where's he? Well, I've already talked to the commission president, and there was a slight, it wasn't meant to be a slight. He sent out the email to everybody after the commission meeting. So by the time I read the appointments or assignments for liaison, the meeting was over. So it wasn't that I couldn't have made it anyway, but I would have been able to tell you why I didn't make it, right? My niece was in town visiting, so I had to take her back to the airport. So,
And now we have each other's cell phones, so we will
yeah.
be in contact there. Old business, we just wrapped up the OPRA conference last week. What?
Guest?
Oh, sorry, we have one guest. Danielle Murray? Danielle Murray?
Carry on.
Carry on. The Ohio Parks and Recreation Association Conference, annual conference over at Kalahari. Chris, Annette, and I attended this year. Tundra was catching up with all the programming that she will update everybody out later in the meeting. I just wanted to let everybody know, this is a very important conference. We get to talk to other parks and recreation groups out of the entire state. Some are larger, some are smaller. Get to hear about how everyone is doing in their communities. And I was just going to list off the sessions that I went to. I don't know if we've kind of done this each year, but I just want to let you know kind of some of the things that we do when we go to this conference and how important it is. The first session I went to was feedback for the unpaid. It's improving volunteer relations. Picked that one because we have the Friends of the Greenhouse group that we work with on a monthly basis. I went to a diversity listening session with different Parks and Rec and Woody Woodward, who's the president of the OPRA, attended that session. Went to a recreational therapy and community-based programming for people with disabilities session. That was more in line of, as we build a rec center, how we are going to have that open and available and accessible to all folks. And then on Tuesday, I went to Keeping Your Fire Lit Without Burning Out session, and also an implicit bias, becoming aware of your inner storyteller on Tuesday. And then Wednesday wrapped up with moving your public from print to digital communications. That was one that's come up in the past year of how we get the word out with our programs and going from a print to a digital social media type marketing. And then I filled in for Tundra as a volunteer in the room for the Building the Nation's First System of Trauma-Informed Recreation Centers. And that was a very informative.
Thanks for being me.
Talked to Jessica Gift from Cleveland, who we've been in constant contact with over the past several years with OPRA. So, if Annette and Chris kind of want to give an update on.
I have mine. So I attended the H2 Ohio session. Franklin County had received the funds that we will also be receiving. So I was able to connect with that division and I spoke with their representative. I went to a session on leveraging data for effective operations where it talked about how you can do through geo tracking, the number of individuals you can ping on a phone for an event, those types of things. The difference with it's extremely costly, and that was one of the things I was happened to be sitting next to a lady from Barberton, and she's like, what about us small districts who can't afford that large cost and that expense? How do we go ahead and use this information? So the individual said that they would look at doing some things to help us smaller park districts. I attended, it's the end of the world as we know it, and it was the development of crisis plans, which was extremely informative. It talked about responses to the media in situations, those types of things. So I attended that. The next one I attended was Cultural by Design, and that was creating your different pillars and goals within your within your department, and how you include your entire staff to make it a comprehensive plan. The next one I attended was park maintenance, using electronics to assign job tasks for more efficiency out in the parks, which we do have that ability through our GIS system that we will probably revisit again, that we'll go ahead and do that to track the amount of time we're spending on different things. And then I will my last one was, when is the right time to retire from OPRS? So that was my last session.
Okay. The first one I went to was Designing to Meet Community Needs, and it was a case study done by the Upper Arlington Community Center. And they went through the process very similar to the process that we're going through now to build our rec center. So it was very informative, talked about some of the challenges that they had from the design and concept to construction to staying on budget. So very informative, turned on some lights for me as far as, okay, these are some things that we really need to discuss moving forward in our process when we start building our recreation center. I also attended the H2 Ohio Success meeting with Annette and learned quite a bit there, just to make sure we were hearing the same thing as far as what we need to have to take care of it and not only take care of the project, but make sure that we're answering what the grant requirements are for that. Next one I went to was Hiring Great Employees, and it talked about especially looking at the character of potential employees and we examined what character traits look like and what you might want to look like in an employee, and especially in the different positions within a recreation center. After that, I went to Manage the best way, your way, and it talked about really being yourself as a manager and not trying to be someone else, that you have to be true to yourself and how you manage your people and be very transparent with your staff. That was very informative and learned a lot in that one. And then the next one was Marketing 101, and it talked about the branding. And in particular, they shared, the presenters from 3 different communities shared their marketing plan. All 3 of them have marketing plans for the entire year, and that's what they work on in November and December as part of their budgeting process moving forward. So they know when their community guides are coming out with all of their programs, what's going to be on the website, who's responsible for all of that. So, and then it talked about the branding piece, and we've had internal discussion since we've been back with that too, as we're moving forward with these big projects in our department. That's it.
They also do have 2 keynote speakers. I volunteered during the first session of the keynote, so I didn't get to see the first one. That was,
I was volunteering as well.
you and I, yeah.
So we volunteered.
We volunteered to reduce our cost. So Jason and I we would take multiple sessions, so I had 2 volunteer sessions. So my conference they reduced me by 40%. So we don't have as much cost for the city if we volunteer. So the second one was a Olympian who came and talked about how he had his adversities and how he stayed grounded with goals and those types of things. And it was probably one of the best keynote speakers. What was his name?
Connor Fields.
Connor
Connor
Fields.
Fields, yes.
He was by far probably one of the best keynote speakers that I have heard, and I've gone to a lot of OPRA conferences.
Any questions on all that OPRA stuff? We thank, Colleen and the city manager, John, for letting us go to that conference each year. It's a blessing and a,
Curse.
curse to have it in your own backyard, but, at least we're right there each year. And then next year, it's back at Kalahari, February 2nd through the 5th.
What did the people think of the facility there? Do you get new people come in, or is it the same people come back every year?
A lot of the same, but, they're,
It's starting to cycle out. You're starting to get a lot of young professionals coming in. And Kalahari just is so accommodating to OPRA. They said that nobody around the state can match what they can offer. Because they used to, in years past, they would rotate. And they would go by, it would be like Dayton, and then it may go to Toledo, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Columbus. It would do a rotational type thing. And we're all divided in regions, so we're Region 2. So what Region 2 would do is you would be responsible for planning the conference. What they have done, they found that is they couldn't get locations that were cost effective enough, so that's when they went to the one central location. So, well, not even central, one location. So they started at Kalahari, and now they do a planning team that plans the conference. And they open it to anybody who is a member of OPRA to be on the planning commission.
It speaks to our area. We can go somewhere. It's kind of like what this guy does with the SBC tournament, isn't it? They just keep it there.
Yes, sir.
Same thing. You do a good job with something, you're just asking
Sure.
people to keep it there, so.
all right. Annette, you want to give an update on that?
So Mills Creek Golf Course, obviously our season will start April 1st. We'll bring our seasonal guys back mid-March. We have a couple projects on our docket with the cooperation of Erie Soil and Water. The creek restoration project, which right now she has secured $632,000 with the potential of adding up to a total for $975,000. We found, like Chris and I attended that session, we learned a lot in that session. The project dropped dead, 2 years, has to be completed. From the day you sign your contract to your completion is 2 years. So 2025 is our drop dead time when we would have to complete this. So Erie Soil and Water is going to spearhead it. They are going to be the fiscal, and we are going to, as a city, enter with an MOU as a partner, as it is our property. And the reason why we've had a substantial amount of erosion, and right now Mills Creek rates as like a D- in water quality. So basically, the Ohio Department of Natural Resource was very intrigued by our project, even though we are a golf course. Typically, most of their projects are farmland that may be purchased by a parks district to create wetlands and those types of things. But with the water quality of our creek as well as the prevention of erosion, because if we don't do something, we will lose number 8's tee box and number 8's green. I mean, there's just, it's becoming, every time it rains, we flood. It just flooded the other day. We had 2 bridges underwater. So the projects are all design build. So basically, once they get the okay, they will go ahead and Erie Soil and Water will go ahead and place the RFP out. Once they get that back, the advisory committee that is set up with both city individuals, Erie Soil and Water individuals, and some from the Gulf community, they want to go through the projects, and then we would help make that selection. And then they would like us to continue on as an advisory, so that we're making sure that we are meeting the needs of the golf course, as well as meeting the needs of cleaning up and doing our due diligence to do restoration to our creek. So that is coming. We're very excited about that. In addition to that, we know that we have a bridge issue on 5. So Josh Schneider from our engineering division is our liaison that we're working with, and we're looking at possibly doing an elimination of 2 bridges, the bridge on 5 and the bridge on 6, and put one in between the 2. Because obviously, we have to, the maintenance purposes of it, and the bridge would be more of a suspension bridge with our supports would not be in the creek, is where we have issues when all the large trees come down and jam. So that is, Josh is working with local bridge places as well as a structural engineer, and hopefully we should have some more information at our next meeting about that. And of course, my last note on this is our last rainstorm, we did flood once again. I'm done.
Youth programming, Sandra?
All right, so February out of school, again, at 100 kids registered. We got about 60 kids showing up now. We have changed the process of registering our kids. Families register every month now. So every 20th of the month, we send out a reminder, and we give them probably like 10 days into the month to get our max, and we've maxed out at our registration at 100 every month. It's a process because families forget, because we used to do it quarterly. So you got kids that show up the next month that have always shown up, but they are not on the list, so we have to go through that. And, just got to keep repeating it, and it'll become a habit. A lot of new kids, well, yeah, we got some new kids, and I think they might be coming from the Center for Cultural Awareness, because it's not in operation now. So I was told that some of the kids were coming from that program, which was good. I'm glad there's somewhere for them to show up at. Sandusky City Schools is continuing to be so gracious to include us and feed our kids when they're in business, but the days that there is no school, we still open, so we don't follow the school calendar. I always felt that the days that there's no school is the exact day that a kid should have somewhere to go. Because at school they have breakfast and they have lunch and they have people to be social with, their friends, and so when there's no school, you kind of just, at home. So we're always open, and our local restaurants have been very gracious to feed our kids on those dates. We got one coming up February 19th, and this is a new relationship with Marco's Pizza, so they're going to be feeding our kids on Monday the 19th. But I am getting kind of some concerns about the other breaks that we have, like spring break camp and winter break camp. For years, we've been using local restaurants to feed like 100, because our breaks are always well attended, like 80+ kids. But I'm just got some concerns about continuing those relationships, and I'm working on something. I don't know if I should say it, but that's what I'm working on. It involves the kitchen, it involves feeding kids, it involves volunteers. It's been done before, so I know we can do it again. Spring break camp should probably go on new business, but it's under update. So spring break camp is April 1st through the 4th this year. We are going to have our regular awesomeness from the 1st and the 2nd and half of the 3rd. On the afternoon of the 3rd, I believe, the Cleveland Museum.
That was the morning.
Oh, it's a morning, so this is the Cleveland Museum of Art.
Cleveland Museum of Natural History.
Of Natural History will be coming in and giving the kiddos a little preview of what to expect on the 8th with a presentation about the eclipse. And then the next day is the 4th, which would be the Minority Health Task Force in collaboration with Sandusky Rec will be doing a fun day. They got a grant, so they're going to be coming in and feeding our kids at noon that day. And then the rest of the afternoon, they'll have bouncy houses, characters, face painting, all kind of fun stuff. So, KK, I know you like to have fun with kids.
Always.
So we would love to have you come out, or anybody that would like to come out and help volunteer on those dates. Again, I'm always going to have a cap of 100 kids, and it fills up pretty quick. I am working on, that's new business, so I'll wait till I get down here. I'll tag that on to Juneteenth.
Tondra, what are the times, like for the 19th, and
For what?
like when's it start in the morning and afternoon kind of thing?
For the
Monday,
after school?
for 19th.
Monday through Thursday?
Well, no, Monday the 19th.
Regular time for after school, so the doors open at 3:30.
Oh, okay.
3:30 to 7.
I got you. Because we're not in school that day.
Yeah, out of school that day, but and it's been, let me see, so must have been MLK Day. We had a pretty nice, amount of kids that came, even though the routine is different, they're not over on Hayes coming here, parents got them there.
Nice.
And then I think on the 5th, we were out.
The waiver day or the professional
Yeah, we
development
were
day?
out again on that day. It was
Yeah.
kind of light that day, but it's still, parents are getting them there. So,
Nice. Okay, thanks.
yep.
Go on to the Civista Bank Ice Rink. We have had some bonus days here and there in February, as we did last year when the weather permits and we don't have, 40-mile-an-hour gusts. And it's been probably not as steady as it is from November through probably mid-January is where we see the most people. But we did offer free skates for February. We may have a couple extra days. We're still working on looking at the weather for even tomorrow. It's supposed to be kind of rainy and 47-mile-an-hour gusts. So we may have a couple extra days, and then what we'll do is we'll take the Civista Bank Ice Rink down and then get ready for the Eclipse Fest. So the stage
The
goes.
turnout for the free skates.
I don't have those numbers, but I can.
I mean, was it a
email them out.
good turnout?
I know the Saturday that I was working, because we covered a Saturday and I went there for a couple hours, we had, I want to say 15 to 20, but there was also something that was going on in the pavilion, so they brought the kids over.
There was a big family party in the pavilion, so that kind of overflowed.
So the free skates really didn't entice people to
Yeah.
come out?
Yeah, we were kind of surprised but the people who are regulars that are coming out, there's one gentleman that brings his daughter, and he says anytime that we're open and she sees it open, he's stopping and they're skating. He was excited that he didn't have to pay the $5.
Like last weekend, it was open, it was free, and from Thursday to Sunday, he had 10 people. But Sunday was also Super Bowl Sunday. So, yeah.
Any other questions on the ice rink? The Rundusky Race Series, we put out an announcement that the winners were announced. It was Jess Safran, who's from Port Clinton, and Sandy Bodie, who is from Bayview. They both were drawn and win basically entry. Hey, you've won 9 5Ks for the next year. You have to go do them now. They're free for those folks, and an Ironman entry, which is a pretty hefty prize right there. So I've talked with Jess, plans on might do the entire triathlon, and then Sandy was like, how long is the run? And I said, it's a half marathon, so she might not be participating in the Ironman, but we'll figure something out for her. And then we have the lineup set of the 9 events. We had, Blue Streak was trying to, figuring out whether they were going to do the race in the fall, so we thought we had an opening there. So we had Drea 5K was a very popular event this past year that was in memory of Andrea of Next Level. They had about 150 to 200 participants in that race, and it was very well done. And so they were kind of on the wait list to get into the spot if it opened up. And then all the other ones are races that we had last year, including the Save Your Pumpkins race, October 6th. And then Humane Society race is on April 6th, which is the eclipse weekend. And from what I've been told is they have over double pre-registration at the time they had last year probably because of the eclipse. So any questions on that? That was in the paper. I want to thank the Register for publishing that list. All right, on to Chris.
Thank you. I just quickly want to go over the timeline with you guys for the RFQ that we have out now for the second phase of the building of the recreation center. So this phase is for site planning, design, and then bidding assistance. So when we send it out, so advertisement went out January 10th and the 24th. The qualifications are due back next Tuesday, February 20th. And then our committee or team will review those qualifications between the 20th and March 8th. On the 13th, the committee will meet and we will take a look at the scoring that each of us presented to Megan and come up with who the top 3 firms would be for this project. And we'll notify the firms on the 14th. Depending on the scoring, we may bring them in for interviewing. If there's 3 that are really close or 2 that are really close, we typically have them come back in for interviews, and the team will interview the firm and then decide on the firm that we would like to move or like to present to commission for permission to move forward with the project. The selection of the firm is March 25th. From March 26th to April 19th, we'll work on the scope of services that firm will provide to us. And then we want to present to the commission on the May 13th meeting our recommendation of the firm that we would like to bring on board for the project. Questions?
Chris, can you elaborate what you mean by scope of services from the vendor?
Scope of services?
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of things. We want them to tell us and provide us, exactly what we're looking for, the site plan, design, and then it really helping us with the bidding process. But then at that time, too, we'll have a sense of hopefully, what the building might look like. We have a conceptual drawing already, but we'll have a sense of what the building might look like and allow us then to take a look at what services we provide out of that facility. So during that process, and once we get along, we'll have some information to present to community stakeholders and groups to get your feedback on some things. But right now, we don't have anything until we get to that point in the process.
And what date did you think this would go to commission for selection?
The 13th of May.
May 13th.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Who's on the team that you said picked? Who's that team?
The team that will review the firms, in the proposals?
That would choose.
Yeah, so it's Jason, Colleen Gilson, Aaron Blair, Aaron Klein, and myself.
Is the location locked in?
Yes, the American Cran site on Hayes, yes.
And I know this is like, I'm asking again, but is there any chance a recreation board could be involved?
When we get to a point where we're ready to present things to the public, and yes, we'll get your feedback on that, but we're not there now until we have a firm on board and get further along in the process.
Couple things. Chris, thank you.
Yes.
That's an excellent question. And because as a commissioner, I know that we can ask for advisory committees. And in a project like this, where there was buy-in from roughly more than half of the people, just roughly more than half, and the other didn't want it, we really have to be conscious about how we proceed, right? And so this project has to have that. Now, I have some other questions, but one of the areas that I really believe that we need this advisory group, which will probably, I'm hoping, will lead to collaboration, will be when we get to that point where we start deciding what programming is offered. Because I personally think that this is one of the best ways to get your community involved, right? We have all of these organizations. I don't know whether it's 12 months or 9 months outside of the completion of the project, but it would be good to actually reach out to those folks who we'd be willing to partner with. I don't care whether it's the Boys and Girls Club. I don't care whether it's Big Brothers, Big Sisters, right? They could partner with the city, the schools, and then you can get some feedback in terms of what do we really need. And so that's one place in the process where I believe that an advisory group is pivotal. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation. The other thing that I'm concerned about, and I'm playing catch up, so forgive me, right? The other thing that I'm concerned about is the role that the firm played, and I guess it wasn't designed, but you have some, it almost looks like a template, but like this artist rendering of what the facility could look like.
Yes.
Can somebody explain, or can you explain to me what role they played, what work did they do, how did they become involved in the process, just to give us that? And then I have some other questions.
Yes, great question, Dr. Kuntz. So we had an RFQ out for that and went through a very similar process that we're going through for the second phase, in that there was a committee put together that reviewed the different proposals. And at that point, we recommended and the commission agreed to hiring Branson and Carroll to help us with site selection, because we had, there were 6 sites, and then we narrowed it down to 3, and then ended up with the American Cran site. So site selection, and then come up with a conceptual design of what it might look like based on the meetings that we had with the stakeholders, community engagement pieces. We were out at the high school. We were at Kids Fest. We were in front of this board here to get feedback, and had a couple of community engagement meetings at Mills and at Mylander Pavilion. So that's how that firm was involved in the first phase of the project.
Okay. A couple other things, and I can be honest about this. And people who know me, they know that I'm really interested in, recreation activities, kids, but not just kids. The elderly. Right, and so when I talked about those partnerships in terms of trying to look ahead for what grants we can apply for this particular effort too, right? That's really, really important. So, I'm thinking of serving our seniors, the senior center, right? Not just kids. So
No,
I don't know how much thought went into that, and
Yeah, I would love to just catch up with you at some point, because we did, Sue actually monitored a meeting for us right over here at the Erie County building, and represented the serving our seniors. But we've had conversations as well with the Boys and Girls Club and some of the other organizations in town too, because
We did present, and sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but
No, you're
present to
fine.
the senior men's organization over at the Erie County Senior Center as well.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, with the survey and the survey results, we had, a great return on the surveys from our seniors, and they voiced, some of the services they would like to see out of that. So yes, I agree 200% with what you're saying, and want to continue to cultivate those relationships with those organizations, because that's why that building's going to be here.
Right.
If the Boys and Girls Club, and I'm just picking them randomly, if they want to come over for something after school and we can accommodate them, then of course we want to do something like that.
Right. But my comments were directly related more to a collaboration that's related to actually writing grants with those folks in mind.
Yes.
Right, I've been involved in efforts where people actually collaborated, whether you're talking about the schools, the Boys and Girls Club, with the city, ahead of the completion of the construction, so you go in knowing exactly what's being done. And now, that doesn't cover everything you'll be doing for the year, but at least, those are things that you've already talked about, you already planned together, and folks go, we got buy-in just from being a part of that.
Yes.
We got buy-in just from letting them know, here's what we do, how can we do this together, right? That's important. And one more thing, because I know when you undertake these kind of projects, particularly one of this magnitude, and you start talking about, I need to understand and absolutely be clear about the recreation department, right? I know that we have a rec department. Do we know or have a good idea about how many people from the recreation department will actually be in this building? How much space will that take up, right? And I'm not going to take up too much time here because I know this is an ongoing project. I know that it'll probably take from now until 2 years from now until the completion of the construction, right? Or maybe longer. So, those are the questions that I want to ask and need to know. Like, if we know already, how many of the people in the department are we talking about having offices in the space? How much will that take away from programming and rooms that we need for other activities? So those are the kind of things where I'm going to be pressing on as we move forward.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, you're going to push us and keep us on point with that. Absolutely. I do want to point out, too, we were blessed, and I know Mr. Coakley was there, but we met with school administration, too, over at Mills and discussed the project moving forward as well as part of our stakeholder series.
I believe the concept plan did have kind of an idea of what kind of office space and square footage that's dedicated to rec staff, but yeah, that would be in there too.
Right. And I understand you visit a few recreation facility sites? And
we went to almost like 5 Cleveland sites in Columbus.
That was a few years ago, with Collinwood and a few years ago when we went to Collinwood.
We went to with Chief Wilcox and we just couldn't think of his name.
No, I was trying to think of the name of the center that was related.
His brother.
Yeah, his brother, yeah.
But to answer your question, too, we also went out to some communities that have recreation centers that are very similar demographically to Sandusky. So we were in Fremont, we went to Worcester.
Bowling Green.
Bowling Green,
You went to Norwalk,
Massillon.
but I didn't go to Norwalk.
Similar size.
Similar
Similar
size.
size in terms of, because if I'm correct, is the size roughly, 30,000 square feet? Or can anybody tell me what that is exactly?
Well, I mean, conceptually, it's about 36,000.
36,000.
But again, it's going to depend on where the bids come back, where we are with the process.
Right.
And you're right, I mean, it's going to be working in that, when you take a look at it, we show approximately what it might look like office space-wise, but that may have to be adjusted because you want to do, as you stated, as much programming and providing services out of there. So, locker room size, the whole nine. We'll really get into those meat and potatoes, if you will, the details as we
Gotcha.
start the process. You're welcome.
Talking about outdoor space also, like some type of water, some type of just sitting in the grass and having family, kids around and being able to go down a slide, get wet. Will that be included in?
So I mean, right now we're looking at it having a water feature outside. But yes, I mean, that whole property, we want to take a look at, do we have, Sherry, a walking track on the outside? We know there's going to be tennis courts on the site. We've committed to that. So yes, we'll be looking at that as well.
Chris, I think one of the things that I think many people would probably be curious of, and you may have already presented this, if you have, I apologize. You've given some good timelines here, in terms of the selection of the firm that'll help do the design and selection phase, et cetera. So what other part of the timetable, like generically speaking, are we looking at? Because I think that's important. Okay, so commission is going to approve, tentatively May 13th, the firm. So when can we expect, beyond concept, beyond drawing, beyond, when actually people will begin to see concrete things happening, and at what point will they have like a target completion date? And I know that's down the road.
It's down the road, but it's part of, Sean, to answer your question, when we start meeting with them to talk about the scopes and the services. So, March, April, tentatively, we'll start taking a look at stuff like that. There's cleanup that has to be done at that site, which hopefully, we can get started on that sooner than later, but.
Because I think one of the key things that everybody thinks about, per se, is programming, what service is going to be there, and then the time frame of when that's all going to be available. I think it's very key. And obviously, the faster the timetable, because last time I checked, inflation hasn't slowed down much. And, time is money. And I know the process is the process. It can only go so fast. But I think that's one of the things that is, as you continue to report out, as more of that timeline becomes apparent, and I know you can't, when you throw a date out there, sometimes people think that's set in stone. Well,
yes.
No construction date is really ever set in stone, because it's just not that simple. But yeah, just, you know what I mean? Just timelines, I think, are real important to people.
And I appreciate you saying that, Sean, and I'll make sure that, as I learn of those dates, that I share that in particular with the Park and Rec Board and then the community as well.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Anything else on our old business? New business. You're up first.
So this year, we celebrate our 10th anniversary of Touch a Truck. It will be Tuesday, August 6th. We had our first planning meeting for this. So we are working on trying to obviously make this a event that will celebrate 10 years with this. We will go back down to the Paper District Marina. We will use Paper District Marina, Shoreline, and Water Street again. So we will use those. We're looking at bringing back some of attractions that haven't been there in a while. So we are going to try to really make this one of our better events. I will be contacting anybody who has participated. Typically, what I do is I use the last 3 or 4 years, and I send information out to them via email, and we place it on Facebook so that we can go ahead and start getting our numbers for our participants to participate. Last year, we had a great representation from agencies and different community organizations who had information to dispense to the community. So we're hoping just to make that even a larger group this year.
You also have Safety Town right below that.
I was going to say, yeah, Safety Town. Safety Town will be the following week, August 12th through 16th. Obviously, we know this is the Whiteman Weber Safety Town. Thanks to the Whiteman Weber Charitable Foundation, they are now holding the naming rights, and each year we will receive $10,000 for the operations of Safety Town. So we extended it last year. We went to 5 days, 4 days of curriculum. In the 5th day, we did a graduation celebration, and we will continue that process coming this year. The committee, obviously, is the same committee that does Touch a Truck does Safety Town, and we are looking to actually beef up our curriculum even more to provide more information for families and the participants of the program. So we will have more information on that as well.
All right, so Juneteenth is June 19th. We want to celebrate always on the actual day. June 19th is on a Wednesday this year. We will kick off with the Lang Trust concert with Forever Motown. Is their choice of band this year, which is going to be it's going to be pretty live. And I have a really great lineup with Mr. Darnell Weaver and his 20-plus actors are going to be doing a performance on the impact of true Black history, starting from the continent of Africa back to the United States. It's going to be pretty powerful. You don't want to miss that. The Sandusky High School a cappella choir with Miss Carrie. It's going to, if she pulls off this song that I suggested, this is going to be amazing to anybody. If you're a human being, what this song is going to do to you, you don't want to miss that. We have our vendors coming back, same vendors from last year. I might add one, take away one and add one, but just having those small, I think I had like 6 vendors last year. Dr. Kunstler, you were there with your brother.
Yeah, I can, yeah.
So I think we just had like 6 vendors. And then we had 3, 4 food vendors. We don't want to pack that up. It's, you know, I am gonna add the Strawberry Cow, which everybody's talking about, that food truck. And anybody had that?
I heard they're great.
Yeah, I heard they were amazing. So, oh, okay. So I talked with him, gonna get him in there. And of course, talking with Marcus Harris on we will have fireworks. So that's not an issue. It was kind of a struggle and concern last year, but I believe we're gonna get this right this year because it is an Independence Day for the Black culture. We're talking with Jim Irving and his Jim and Dick with the Firelands tour bus for the Underground Railroad. We want to do some mini, like 20-minute pocket tours on a rotation from the pier during the Juneteenth, during the sound check time between 3 and 5 for that. So that gives time for you to do your vending, you know, food trucking and doing the Underground Railroad tour. They're condensing it down. The other thing I wanted to add to new business, this week we started season 6 of Midtown Supper Club. Season 6 is going to have the Starry Night theme kind of following in with Eclipse and a mixture of Galaxy and Van Gogh and all that good stuff. But the event the finale is going to be March 25th at Mills. I would love for the rec board to purchase tickets. They're on sale now. We have tables, a couple of tables left available for purchase that seats 8 at $220. Tickets are $30 a piece or $255, and you just keep going from there. We also have the kids are doing some glow-in-the-dark entertainment. We have a violinist that is coming to entertain the crowd as they dine. We got that out the way. We are going to be doing Community Collaboration Day due to my previous health situation. I have another surgery coming up that's going to have me in recovery for during the time that we usually do our end of the season for summer break. And we do a Community Collaboration Day on the last day of summer break camp. We're going to push it back to the 16th. I know you're doing your graduation on that day, and that's over with by noon, correct? Yeah. Yeah, so that would be in collaboration with Father's Heart Church. Again, we'll do like a block party type of deal from Perkins up to Mills, and that is on August 16th from 1 to 5 p.m. Let's see. I think I got everything. We have 13 kids, 13 chefs in training. We're heavy on boys this year, so we got 2 girls in the group, but they're going to be rocking it out. Our chefs are Chef Benny V, and we added a new chef, Chef Byron from the Bay Bell. Those 2 together, it's going to be a French cuisine-inspired meal. So look up Vichy Choix, because that's your first course. Vichy Choix. I don't know what it is, but it's gonna be good. All right, and then the last thing, I have to, please be excused, if I can be excused, I have to get back to Mills. I am doing a teaching, our first teaching for the chair yoga session. If anybody wants to join at 7 p.m. It's slow flow. I ain't trying to do too much, but at 7 o'clock, we are going to be having a gym full of people with chairs, with all kind of, they might have limitations like me, but they might not, but it's gonna be pretty interesting. So if you wanna come out and do some slow flow, Liz, I know you there, right, Liz? No. So that happens at 7 o'clock. We've been doing a lot in the building. The building is, we have yoga upstairs. I'm looking and collaborating with the health department on a agronomist club. I want to bring that back. It will be an indoor agronomist club, but we'll have to still figure out some things with that. But kids need to learn how to grow food. I mean, we really need to hammer that down, and I think we got a great room upstairs that could support that if we get everything worked out with the health department. And, so the Minority Health Task Force, did I say that already? Minority Health Task Force is coming in on April 4th during spring break camp to do their collaboration with making it a fun day, Kids Day, and then having resource tables for when the parents come pick. They're trying to capitalize on having a captured audience with all the kids that we have during our break. Parents come to pick their kids up. Bam, here's the table, here's some information. So it's like a win for the community. And I think that's all I got. Is that too much? No, I can add something, man. That's
Thanks,
it.
Tandra. And Linda had to head out to, we have greenhouse yoga tonight too, so she was
Right.
getting the greenhouse ready for that. I'll make it quick with Movies by the Bay. We're still in talks with somebody to be our title sponsor for that series. Looking to start on June 17th, and we're talking about showing our first movie to be Black Panther. And we've got some other movies that when we set the lineup last year, we wanted to bring in a couple of the same movies, but kind of the next in the series for this year. So I should have a list of those movies by our next meeting and the dates for those. Any questions on our 2024 events? Just our parks and facilities update. I had a couple notes just on what, I know that they're getting the greenhouse, doing some cuttings to get the plants ready for Washington Park. We're already talking about putting plants back out in Washington Park again in February. Our Public Realm crew has been painting all the bathrooms, and they painted inside the Mylander Pavilion. And then they're getting the Dorn facility cleaned out. And then I don't know if you want to talk about, I know decorations have been flying in and out and
Sure.
everywhere.
So the 5910, which was the large mower that has the 16 feet span that we have been waiting for 3 years, is due to deliver in May. So we're very excited about that. We actually run 2 of those, and they do the large majority of the mowing in our parks. So we're very excited for that, and we have some plans to use it over at the golf course for some efficiency in mowing in the golf course. So stay tuned, I'll have more information on that. As you're aware, we have priority use agreements for the baseball and softball fields. So we currently are in, for groups other than the high schools, we are in year 2 of 2. So they're in their last year of their priority use agreement. The high school is in year 2 of year 6. We did a longer one for them. So basically, after last year with some confusion about our priority use agreements, I have met with every priority use agreement. We've gone over their priority use agreement, what they signed, what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. And then I asked them, what could we do to assist to make your programs better? So they have given me items of attention, I'm calling them, things that would maybe help their program run smoother, items that we're not, I'm not at the fields every single day, that maybe items that we need to address to fix. So we have, I've created that list. I've met with Brian Camp, who is my foreman. We've gone out to every field. We visited. We have our list compiled on what we want to do so we can get our program going. So Sandusky Schools and St. Mary's, their fields we're slated to start grooming their fields on Tuesday is our goal to do it. Obviously, we're supposed to get some wind and some rain tomorrow, and we know what rain does to the fields. So we're looking at doing that next week because they can start practice on Monday. Correct, Sean?
Correct.
So we're looking at doing that. Some of the things we will be working on when we do the fields, we'll make sure that the areas that need attention, I know the Sandusky girls softball field needs dirt on behind first, short, and third base. We'll make sure that is done, and we will address the lip issue, which we know always is a problem. Another thing that we are going to do with the priority use agreements is we're going to run a ball field grooming class for them. So when they know it, so at the end of the game, you get your broom out, you push the dirt back into the infield, so it prevents the lip problems. So we're going to work with that. On Saturday, Chris and I are meeting, AMVET's board has asked us to meet with them. So Chris and I will meet with them, and we will report back to you as to how that conversation goes. So we have that, and then also I have been a group out of, I have a name, Capone, it's out of Castalia. They were looking for some fields. Since our non-compete clause is complete with Cedar Point, we can now go ahead and run tournaments out at Dorn Park. So they have requested to use the fields at Dorn on 3 weekends. I have checked with all of our priority use agreements and is not a conflict with their schedule as they have first dibs at those fields. So it looks like we will have a softball tournament let me do the June one sorry about that. June 7, 8, and 9. They will be using the 2 varsity softball fields with the addition of 2 fields. So that would entail, we will charge them for the use of the fields, and we will also charge them for our guys to maintain those fields that weekend. We will have one baseball field, which is St. Mary's has the only baseball field out there, July 12th through 14th. And then July 19th through 21st, there will be an additional softball tournament out there with the 2 to 4 fields due to the number of individuals they take into their tournament.
Who has priority use at JC?
JC is
Sandusky Travelers.
Travelers.
Still have it?
Mm-hmm. Traveler, I can let you know who has them. Travelers has JC, AMVETS is the AMVETS League. Panther Baseball is at Kiwanis Park. Sandusky Schools, St. Mary's, and their Lady Lightnings and St. Mary's Summer League have Dorn, and they have specific fields that are assigned to Dorn.
So they're pretty well booked.
We have every field other than the one at Huron Park.
Yeah, and some other like Sandlot fields.
Right.
I had a quick question.
Sure.
Who did you say this was using the parks on those dates, June 7th through 9th? I think you gave 3. Who are they? And then what do we charge for something like that for somebody to have a
Sure.
tournament?
So actually, the group, It's the gentleman, there's two of them. There's Jason Capone, who actually runs the softball tournaments. He is Edison's coach, but their main base is usually out of Margaretta. And then Chris Leibacher does the Duck Pond tournament. And those typically have been tournaments that they've used all along. They've just grown in size, and with limited space of fields, they have now come to us to use Dorn Park.
Okay.
And then we charge for that, we have different rates. So we do $75 a day per field for a Sandusky resident, and $125 a day for non-resident. And then, because of past practice, when we ran the Coaster Classic, our grounds division is the ones who will maintain the fields. So basically, what we will do is we will charge the agencies to come in for their salaries for that staff for those days.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions on new business? Okay, we're to open discussion.
I have a quick question. I had someone come to me and ask why we are so worried about having gym space in the new rec center when we have all this gym space in these schools not being used. I said, where's these schools at? Some of them have cafeteria.
Right, yeah, and I could probably help with that, because you're right, Sherry, and you've been around. I mean, a good example is our gyms are primarily like starting Monday, because to give you an example, high school track, middle school track, high school baseball, softball, high school softball, high school basketball, boys and girls. That's 6 entities that would be using the gyms on, I'll call it the high school, intermediate school campus. There'll be somebody in our gyms till after 8 o'clock for the next month, guaranteed.
This is what I tried to explain.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right, a lot of the elementary school gyms are cafetoriums, some of them are smaller gyms that aren't really usable for that, and not every building has staffing that would honestly allow rentals during certain times. But during the winter months, when everybody really is, wanting to use them, we've got our own elementary programming and such, so our gyms are utilized pretty much 6 to 7 days a week. And Dr. Coons will tell you, there's somebody in those gyms, the high school, middle school, and we're out at SPS with wrestling, and we're at Jackson with cheerleading and different activities.
Being used, that was another.
Yep, Jackson is being used 4 to 5 days and nights a week with competitive cheer and cheerleading. So it's kind of like the ball fields, we want to use those gyms all we can, and we want to keep them full. What people don't understand about ball fields sometimes is the more you play on it, it actually helps with the upkeep and the maintenance of it. A field sitting dormant, not being used, is actually very hard on it. So by maintaining it and playing on it, so long as you don't play in the middle of a mud storm, it's really good for the field. But yeah, our gyms, as most of you here know, are very, 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 very busy, and there's limited time, unfortunately, until we finish up and the weather gets better. Now, once the weather gets better, which primarily people aren't really clamoring to get inside the gym at that time, but once you get in, I'll say mid-March, because we're day to day with whether baseball and softball are inside, outside, and then you have your own, then you start having other teams working out, whether it's volleyball, open gym, or other things. So yeah, you told them right. There's not a lot of open space.
A lot of weather related.
Very much so, especially in the spring. A lot of weather-dependent activities. We won't be totally outside until, honestly, after the eclipse, because it's going to snow in March. You can write it down. I said it, and because it's baseball season, softball season. The weather here changes so quickly, and so yeah, we utilize those gyms all the time.
Yeah. And I think one of the primary issues is regarding weather, right? Because you don't really want to book folks, even if you foresee that, well, we won't be using it then, because if the weather changes, then those softball and baseball students come in, right? But it did raise a question for me, and the question was related to the smaller buildings. And I haven't seen those gyms, but I know they're smaller. Do we ever get requests? You know, do you get requests?
Yeah, we do
to use
occasionally.
those?
There's a few, and I don't necessarily handle those because those aren't my buildings, and I don't, with the exception of this year using SPS for middle school wrestling, I don't use those gyms because they are too small for what we do at my level, middle school, high school, because typically we're going to have full court basketball and we're going to have bigger space needed for volleyball and for baseball, softball, and track. So, and I'm not an expert on all of them, but yeah, they are smaller. And typically, if someone wanted to use them for, we'll say, a men's pickup game thing or whatever, those usually don't really fit their needs, I guess. But they're always, they're always welcome to inquire. Depending on what their needs are, we try to accommodate. We've got policy in place for that. And if we, and like Dr. Kuhn said, if we have it available, we're more than happy to facilitate that request. But in the spring, especially through March, it's really tough because we've got to give that priority to our teams and our kids first. And it's almost a day-to-day thing. So.
Thank you.
What about Mills? Do you get requests for that, Jim?
We do have, you can rent the rec room at Mills or the gym at Mills, and I can forward you the prices for that if you want to see that. And we'd like to get more kind of open gym things going. I'm going to talk with Ronte, the Community Impact Officer, next week, and he's got some ideas for me. And I said, well, I've got some ideas for you too. So hopefully.
And Mills is bigger than some of the elementary school gyms. It's been used in the past for those kind of activities.
Sean, do you want to mention how somebody would go ahead and try to use the facility?
Yeah,
at the
so on our
schools?
website, there's a building use. It's on the front page of the website. It's building use, and it has the different forms, and there's an online Google form you fill out, and that goes to somebody in the district. And then they end up contacting me to see what the availability is on my end, like if I've already got it booked. And, honestly, if someone wanted to use or rent the facilities, they can always contact my office, and I can probably answer some of their questions and direct them where to find those forms, kind of walk them through the process, and we're happy to do that. But everybody kind of wants to do the same thing at the same time. So when it's basketball season for me, it's basketball season for everybody else, and so that makes it really tough. And we are blessed with really good facilities at the schools, but I promise you, we are using them every day and every night.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to try to catch up all in one night, right? God willing, I got 4 years. So, I'm just looking at, because we're still in that part where, it's just open discussion, right? But, when I'm looking at the website, first question I have is, who's responsible for that, for the city, to actually maintain our website, make sure, that we include very important events, pictures, videos. Who's, first of all, in charge of that?
So at least for the recreation page, I've had some access, been able to do, small updates, but as far as keeping up the website and all the different pages, that goes through communications with Tom Horseman and Leslie with the city manager's office.
Tom Horseman?
Yep, and I know they're in a redesign effort that hasn't been, it's not live yet, but there's been some issues even in the past. If you Google something for Sandusky, City of Sandusky, sometimes it pulls up old pages. I was just talking about some races that somebody said, looks like this race is, a different date than what you stated. I said, well, look at the year. It says 2021. That should be alleviated with new redesign too. But yeah, anything with the rec page, like we have access to update the agenda and the minutes, but the main place to go through is the city manager's office.
And I'm wondering too, because when I look at the web page, I go to this page where there's activities, right? There's a calendar, right? And I'm thinking, you have the out of school program, you've got gymnastics going on, you've got yoga, you got multiple events going on at different times, right? So I'm thinking, where do we see the people doing those things? Where's a video sometimes of what's going on in the buildings? And I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying, like I said, I'm not going to try to catch up.
So that page that you're looking at is actually it's our registration and programming page, which is through RecDesk. So that would show the schedule of everything that's going on.
Right.
And I think our biggest megaphone is Facebook right now to put updates of when things are happening and to show the videos and the photos that you're talking about is on our Facebook page. But RecDesk doesn't have an ability to.
Correct.
put like an update like Facebook does where you can post some photos and a link.
Gotcha.
So the Rec Desk actually is our online registration program and our point of sales. So we use Rec Desk at the golf course for our register as well as the ice skating rink. So what Rec Desk did is they just interfaced their information into our website.
Okay.
So that's how that's how your calendar shows up, how to register for a program, and any events, those types of things go through that.
I got you.
And I would be glad to show you how to do it, go through and show you some features of Rec Desk. I probably would say I'm the one that has the most experience with it.
Right.
And like I said, it's a great tool and it's very user-friendly, so I would be glad to sit down and do that. And
It's
Mr.
also
Crable, if you'd like to look at it too, I would be glad to help you.
Yeah,
It's also
I can
our-
navigate it.
Our park shelters and the Mylander Pavilion and the
Correct.
Jackson Street Pier and all the event things that are, stuff that we're doing is on that one.
Yeah.
So also things that we can do in this, which is really, so when an individual registered, we know there's required forms that we have to fill. Every participant has a Lindsay Law. They have to do Lindsay Law. They have to do a photo release. All of those things are electronically stored in there as well. And we can create any type of form to capture any type of information we can. So we always ask custom questions, and a lot of custom questions we ask are, what school do you attend? So in any given program, I can pull a report and I can tell you how many Sandusky school kids participate, St. Mary's, Perkins, Margaretta, anybody, we have that ability at just a really quick run of a report to do that. So any of those things at any point, if anyone wants to look at that, I can get all that information for you.
Thank you.
And just to piggyback real quick, Dr. Kuntz, the school system has been phenomenal to work with, especially with the youth programs and getting the word out with those too. They've done great things for us, so.
I see KK, so that's really, really helpful.
Thanks.
More open discussion. I know we should probably add Commissioner Jeff Crable to our guest list. He's a guest there. We just have to say who our guests are.
I'm just announcing
Welcome.
And I'm glad to see Jeff here, and because maybe he can actually chime in on this. One of the things that I appreciate so far that I've seen is that, like, when questions are asked of staff, particularly of John, right, he gets back, he writes up the detail about a question. And I noticed when I was looking at the past minutes, there were questions asked previously. It was by Matt Westerholt from the Register. So, it's like almost a page and a half of questions. But my thing is, as somebody who, when people have questions, I try my very best to answer those questions. I'm wondering, when that happens in our meetings, if we can't answer it, then what do we do to ensure those questions are answered to the best of our ability? How do we get that information back to them? Do we make personal calls? What do we do? Because that's really important in terms of the citizens in our community who see those same questions, right? Who might be paying attention to what we do, and it's like they never got back to them and answered those questions. So I'm just that type that I like to know.
Yeah, and with the sign-in sheet, I think that's something that we've implemented even recently, to get an email address if somebody has a question and needs a response back if we don't already have that.
Okay.
That from them. So, yeah, usually I'll send something out to the rec board as a follow-up if it's a question that was posed by the rec board, so we get everybody on the same page on that. But, yeah, it's just, if there is an instance where somebody hasn't gotten a response back, please let me or Linda know, and we can definitely get on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Any one addressing or any other new open discussion?
Hello, Rex staff, board members, audience, and everyone watching this live on YouTube. Happy Valentine's Day, and happy Ash Wednesday for all of my Catholics and recovering Catholics. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Danielle Murray. I am the Executive Director at Lake Erie Film Commission. Lake Erie Film Commission is a 501c nonprofit dedicated to mentoring, promoting, and funding Erie County, Ohio filmmakers. Lake Erie Film Commission's largest goal is to create a thriving year-round film and TV industry in the city of Sandusky and Erie County. We plan on accomplishing this goal through grassroots Think Global, Act Local efforts and community partnerships. LEFC held our first fundraising event, the Run Scream Run 5K in downtown Sandusky, Ohio, on Sunday, October 29th in 2023. In establishing the Run Scream Run 5K, we aim to raise awareness of the Film Commission and benefit the citizens of Sandusky. We are currently planning the second Run Scream Run 5K, which will be held on Sunday, October 27th in 2024. I worked as a race director on the first Run Scream Run 5K in 2023 and will be the race director in 2024. We plan on making the Run Scream Run 5K an annual event, and we are planning on gaining more runners, partnerships, donors, notoriety, and that we can benefit more people both locally and nationally with each passing year. I invested $20K into the Run Scream Run 5K event with the intent to create a better Sandusky. I have not asked the city for 1 cent for the project, and none of my proposals to the rec department would cost the city anything besides the city's original investments. The 3 items that I need from the city are as follows. 1, for the Run Scream Run 5K to be added to the Rundusky docket, and for the city of Sandusky to redo all of the postcards with the Run Scream Run 5K Monster logo or the Lake Erie Film Commission logo to represent our 5K on the Rundusky docket. The rec department has known about the Run Scream Run 5K for over a year, and the RSR 5K should have been added to the Rundusky docket originally. Because that didn't happen, I'm asking that the Rundusky postcard be remade and include the Run Scream Run. If the Run Scream Run 5K is not added to the Rundusky 2024 docket, I will consider taking legal action against the city of Sandusky. 2, I would like the Run Scream Run 5K to be added to the Jackson Street Pier upcoming event sign. The events on the JSP sign now are all past events, and I would like to propose we erect a new sign with the Run Scream Run 5K event on Sunday, October 27th. 3, I would like Lake Erie Film Commission's office address, 227 East Adams Street, Suite 1, to be added to any and all physical City of Sandusky downtown maps. Even though I love attending these board meetings and advocating for Lake Erie Film Commission, I do not have time to continuously attend City Hall meetings when my focus is on growing and sustaining a nonprofit, and the City of Sandusky should be enthusiastically supporting and promoting events and making it easy as possible for those of us dedicated to improving Sandusky, especially local Sandusky residents who are willing to hold events in the off-season, such as in October. If one of the City of Sandusky's goals is to create a city that's appealing for people to live year-round, then they should be supporting people and projects that make the city appealing to live in year-round, such as the Run Scream Run 5K. I would like my 3 proposals, 1, to be added to the Rundusky docket, 2, have the Run Scream Run 5K added to the Jackson Street Pier upcoming event sign, and 3, for the Lake Erie Film Commission office address to be added to the physical city maps to be discussed by the board at this meeting, or if not at this meeting, to receive an answer at a later date, but in a timely manner. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Is this a private, or is it going to be held with, the city going to be helping run it?
I hope the city helps, yeah.
I'm just confused, because sometimes if you do for one organization, then you got to have that card for every organization that wants to keep being involved and not ran by the city. I might be wrong, I'm confused.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of confused at your question as well.
Well, I would just say, just in response, I've had several email back and forths with Ms. Murray. If there's a talk of legal action, I don't want to comment on anything regarding this. So some of those questions have been addressed in an email that I can provide to the rec board if they ask. But I'm not going to comment on anything if there's a threat of legal action.
I don't know.
I'm just confused.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, would you mind, can we please discuss, I'm confused as well. So can you just reframe what you were asking?
Jerry,
If the city is going to be a part of it, or are you a private wanting to be added to the city's agenda?
Yes, I would like to be added to this docket, this Randusky docket.
Okay.
But these are all nonprofits. I mean, I believe the majority of these are nonprofits, just like myself. And there's nothing too much different than my event.
Okay. I haven't seen that, so I don't know.
yeah.
The only time I run is to the refrigerator.
There's a lot of walkers, and it's part of it's on the Dora, so.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the docket. And can you explain what this docket is?
Yes.
I want to be sure that I understand what
So
you're talking
these are all the 5K events that the city of Sandusky is promoting via the Randusky. And from my understanding, if you complete a certain amount of these, then you are awarded a sweatshirt. And there's, it's a community type situation. I attended a couple of these. They were great. I've had feedback on a couple of them were just so-so, like I'm not going to say which ones were so-so. That's not, my thing. But they're 5Ks, but not all of them are 5Ks events. And this is kind of just what it looks like.
Okay.
And yeah.
So these are all 5Ks. Most of these are runs in Sandusky?
Yes, they supposedly they're all in the city of Sandusky.
I can give you more information, at least on what the Randusky Race Series is. So in 2019, we started with about 7 races that were annual races and races that were in the city of Sandusky. So we, at one point, decided, how do we bring those together? There's a similar race series, another Huron has a race series. And so what we did was we pulled those together. We got Firelands Health was really in support of this and became a sponsor of the series. That running store, the North Shore Running Store, was in town too, and they were a sponsor of the series. So we put them together, and basically if a participant participates in 4 out of the 7 that first year too, they get a hoodie that has the race series on it, and it has the different groups on the back. So this past year we finished our 5th race, our 5th year of doing it. We expanded to 9, but it kind of kept it at that 9 because of just trying to keep, if you look at it this year, there's one every month other than July, which we have the Ironman. So, the Ironman is kind of an anomaly. So it's a bigger race than a 5K.
Yeah.
So if they do 4, they get a hoodie, and then if they do anything more than that, they get entered into a drawing for the next year to get which I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, they can get free races for the following years.
Okay, so some more clarification. So are these all city-sponsored runs?
One of the stipulations is that a race has to be started in the city, at least starting and finishing in the city limits, because Firelands Winery has the Rush to the Crush, which it's a 5-miler. It might go into Margaretta Township and then come back in for a second. I'm not sure exactly where that map goes, but yeah.
Right, but I'm not talking about within the city limits. I'm talking about kind of sanctioned by the city?
Not sanctioned,
The
no.
runs?
Our series is only to promote people to be healthy and walk and run and be a part of this, be a part of the running community. And, these are all, other than the Boy with the Boot is one that the city does. We've done that since the bicentennial, and we've done the race before the game since probably for the past 6 years, which is the Ohio State.
I'm familiar with some of them.
Like this year,
Not all of them.
every year we've been a part of the race series, but this year we are, but we're not on the card because we couldn't decide on our date soon enough. So we are kind of going to be a part of it, but not really this
Yeah,
year.
but still, the Blue Streak has been on it since the start, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would like to just say I'm not threatening legal action. I'm just saying, what am I supposed to do? The rec department has known about the Run Scream Run 5K since last year. Why you wouldn't want to support a local nonprofit that takes $0 to put on the docket is absolutely confabulating to me, and I'm, willing to do whatever I need to do, which I have done moving forward. But I'm just, again, I'm not threatening legal action. I'm just saying, what am I supposed to do when it's something very simple that costs the city $0.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming up and sharing.
Thanks. No other questions? Thanks.
Anything else?
And not unless Jeff had.
Quiet. Motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.